you doing?
So, welcome, Salam, ma'am. Good, Alhamdulillah. How are you? Eid Mubarak.
Hey, Badik. I'm good too, thank you. Okay, so first please let me know about your assignment status, Shahid. And I have just received your 3 tasks that you have performed in, which I have some
Yes, ma'am.
questions about that. Um,
Sure.
as I have only explained the task one, and it's good that you try to attempt the second and third task as well. But the second task was not about the presentation. It was about a guide which you need to submit as a documentation.
This needs to be a Word document, ma'am.
Yes, and it must be a detailed documentation that they can use in as a guide for their organization. And if we are talking about the task one, you have explained almost every question of that activity one from 1.1 to 1.7, but the detail is very much limited. Like as per your level, as per your standards, it must not be like one slide per topic, right? It should be detailed.
Yeah, ma'am. Actually, I was trying to keep it to the point. You know, that's the reason I tried to keep it brief.
But you know what? There is no exam going to be conducted. So the only thing that you can grab the attention of the like the invigilators or the investigators is through your content. So here your content should be detailed, not like the paragraphs that are burdening the slides, but the like the content that is to the point should be like
Mm.
maybe 2 to 3 slides covering one single topic, so that it can give like a good view to the reader that the learner has really worked hard on it.
Okay, ma'am. I will try to, add up some of the content to the existing slides. And if
And
you,
what about the merit and distinction tasks? I told you to cover those as well.
ma'am, actually, I had already business intelligence and other system user experience. So I was working on three of the assignments altogether. So that is why I submitted because I was being asked to submit. So I was waiting for the feedback, just like the one you have given me, so I can work according to the instructions from you and the other teachers.
Okay, so first, what you need to do is you will only work on the task one with along with
Okay.
its merit and distinction task. You need to create a design for the network probably. So
Yeah.
I just need the design to be a very well designed so that you can get the distinction in overall task one. Okay.
Got it, ma'am. Got it.
So work hard on the design, and secondly on the slides. Basically, the template and everything is good and well managed, but
Mhm.
still you need to give me the details, like the more details to the topic, and then once you will submit me the details, then I will talk about the activity 2 and activity 3. Okay.
Sure, ma'am.
Uh,
Got your point.
and for the sake of the third task, in that task, um, you have done like okay, the content is as per the requirements, but still we need to expand the content in that as well. And we were asked to make the presentation in that, so that's good. But first, we will work on the task one, then we will move to the second task, as it is the documentation that you need to create, and then we will move to the third activity. So, if there is any confusion regarding the assignment activity, you can ask me. And also, if there is something like you want to share, like you want to share the idea that the things that you are sharing are okay to go or not, so you can do anytime.
Got it, ma'am. Got it. Thank you,
Okay,
ma'am.
so let's start our learning outcome two. That is our today's topic. As you have the great understanding of that allo, but still we need to cover the content regarding that uh, topic. So today we will discuss the whole LO2. Here we will understand the network infrastructure security, and here we will discuss the security considerations associated with the networking and infrastructure. Then we will evaluate the use of antivirus and firewalls in the enterprise networks, like how we can use them and what are the roles of them in our like enterprise networks. Then investigate the use of surveillance and monitoring systems to protect the network environment. So everything is about the security. So we know that the security is really the most needed factor of the organizations. Whenever they are creating a network, they want to have a secure network that will not only secure the data of their users but also their data, their everything, like the every component of their system needs to be protected. So here we will discuss about all the considerations that can help us to make the security of our system work better.
Understood.
So, your network infrastructure is comprised of numerous parts. We know that the parts are the hardware, the software, and the services that are provided by the network. And in the hardware, we are having multiple hardware devices that are connected, like the routers or switches, cables, and the cards, and all the stuff that is in the physical form. And then, definitely, the operating systems and the system softwares, like the management ones or the security ones or the firewalls. All these components are the software components of our network. And then the main component that is the related to the services that are provided, basically the like the IP addresses and the satellites, the DSL. Every modem or every service that is provided through the network is the part of this. So overall, this network is the comprised of all these components. So we know each of these necessary component needs to be secured from the intentional or unintentional actions that can exploit the security of our network. So, this security is designed to offer the complex and multifaceted resources for securing against the internal and external threats. Infrastructures can be vulnerable to attacks such as denial of services, unauthorized access, spam, or malware. So, all these attacks that would be the part of your network infrastructure can harm the security of your network. So these threats are mostly associated with the external attacks. Definitely, they are. Sometimes they may occur from the internal environment as well, but most probably these are coming from the external attacks. Network security measures should also consider the internal issues as well, which includes the deletion, modification, data leakage, accidental downloads of the malicious content, and the illegal activities. So we need to manage all these stuff so that we can have the better understanding of our network security. Okay, so we need to like consider all these factors that can cause harms to our overall network. Then the function that are performed by the network infrastructure security are the validate and monitor hardware or software components, dynamic security access, structured subdivisions. You have also covered these points in your assignment activity, so probably you will be having the great understanding of these. So please explain me what will be the role of dynamic security access here.
Dynamic security access is like it can change the access of the network based on the business needs or on the daily or based on the new policies of the company. It can vary based on multiple factors. For example, based on the time, based on the location, location, based on the type of the user, based on the type of the access server which is accessing. So this is called like dynamic security access. So maybe a user who might have a RDP access to a server might not have access to port 22 or SSH to that server. And for example, that the same person, when geographically is on another branch or another office or another floor, he might not have that access.
Definitely. So, very well explained. So, the main goal here is to give access to the people as per their needs. So we can say that through this component, we can prioritize the access to our system for all the like the components or the people who are connected to our network. For the structured subdivisions, we can also divide the system into multiple subsystems. So whenever one of the component of our system is not working properly, we can say that this subdivision will really help us to like to let us work with the other components of the system, so that not the whole network is stopped when one component of the network is stopped working. So definitely, all these components or functions are really the most important factors of our network infrastructure security, because we need to um, assure that all these factors are working properly for our system. Next, here we have some security considerations. The first one is the encryption. Whenever we are working in a network infrastructure, we need to know about the encryption. Encryption is, if we are talking about the in the simple words, we can encrypt our messages, our data into some other format that is not known by any other person, or it can also save our data from the overall threats of the security. So encryption uses the cyber security to defend against the brute force or the cyber attacks. It could include the malwares and the ransomwares. However, there are some other attacks as well that could be like tackled by this process. Data encryption works by securing the transmitted digital signals on the cloud and computer systems. So we need to manage everything on the system so that everything works well. There are two kind of digital data, like the transmitted data or implied data, and the stored digital data. So if we are sending or receiving the messages or any data packets, that are also needed to be secured through the encryption process. And also, if we are having some stored data in our system, we also need to manage that data as well. It helps us to protect the private information, the sensitive data, and can enhance the security of communication between the client apps and the servers. So, if we are talking about the clients and the app and server, we can say that whenever we are doing a chat with some other person, definitely our data is stored on the like the server of that application that we are using. So, in order to get the secured information, so we can say that like the end-to-end encryption is the method that is used to secure the data of people. So here we need to have that encryption process that is really needed for our system security. Then the second security consideration, is the backup. uh, it is said that approximately 89% of business growth results from new customer acquisition, but every new customer will generate a complex set of data depending on your business model. Definitely, whenever new people are coming to your business, they will come up with their new data, the new ideas, new innovations through the system. This means that you will have to manage data backups across several different systems: your customer's website, your e-commerce platform, backend customer management system, as well as the software your client relies on the business planning and accounting. So everything needs to be managed by every component of your system needs to be managed by the backup, so that if any kind of data is lost, so you can get or achieve that data from the backup. Each of these systems must be backed up, and each must be backed up securely. There should be security considerations that will be used in here whenever doing the backup. So most quality software will come with the encrypted backup options as standard. So we can rely on those softwares that are coming up with the encrypted options, so that we can have the secure backup of our components. Next, we have the network access. Access control defines the people and group and the devices that have access to the network application. We have already talked about it. Like whenever we are having the dynamic access, network access, so we can say that not every person can have access to the every component of our network. So whenever we have a lot access to the specific people for the specific application, So it could be really be helpful for them to have the access, and ultimately they can combat with the threats. Integration with identity and access management products can strongly identify the user and role-based access control policies, ensure the person and device are authorized access to the asset. So if one person is trying to access. Next, we have the password security. Protection is an access control technique that helps to keep the important data safe from the hackers by ensuring it can also be accessed with the right credentials. So, if someone knows the passwords of your like the any kinds of passwords that you are using in your system, so it is full of risk that someone may steal your personal information. So, this protection is one of the most common data security tool available to users, but they are easily bypassed if not created with hackers in mind. So, if there are multiple password security systems that are already working in our environment, so we can say that they can easily be bypassed. And the hackers are really sharp in their concepts. They can easily bypass your security through guessing or through applying the techniques to bypass your password.
Got it, ma'am.
You can use the longer passwords, block the common passwords on your system, use two-factor authentication, and encrypt the passwords. Train your employees to save their data and the passwords not to share with any other person if they are not in the need to like to know. Don't share with them. So these are the basic. You can say that the basic components that could be used in while doing the password security, but still the passwords could be bypassed. Next, we have the router settings. The router acts as a barrier between the internet and devices on your home network. So the firewall features are enabled by default and block any information request from the internet directly to your computer. So you need to do the proper setting of your router so that you can secure your network and the network defaults so that any unauthorized information could not be bypassed from your router. You can see the available settings on the firewall page under the security tab of your router, where you can change the default SSIDs and the passwords, change the admin login credentials, use the best network encryptions, disable the WPS, and keep your router firmware updated. So these are the basic things that you can do to make the router work like in a better way. However, these could also be bypassed by the hackers, but still we can say that if we are having the strong command on all these vectors, we can secure the routers. Next, we have the security devices. These are basically the physical or virtualized hardware appliances that are used with the a different kind of softwares installed in it. Occasionally, businesses purchase commodity software hardware, server hardware, and install custom software to create their own network security device. So these kind of server hardwares are really helpful to create your own security device that could be able to secure your overall network. However, there must be a very trained person who will be doing this process so that he cannot like he may not be like creating a network security device that is easily breakable. Next, we will see or evaluate the use of antivirus and firewalls in the enterprise network. So, whenever we are talking about the firewalls and antiviruses, these both are designed to protect an organization's system against the cyber threats. Like to secure the system, we are using these terms. However, there are a few key differences between them, and what are these? Basically, the deployment and the data inspection. Whenever we are talking about the deployment, firewalls are mainly deployed at the network level, while the antivirus is primarily an endpoint security solution. So, it's important to note that there is some overlap. Firewall can include network-based inspection of files and web traffic for viruses. So we can add the few components of the antiviruses to that firewall as well. Likewise, endpoints can include a host firewall. So, same as in our antiviruses, we can say that whenever we are working on the endpoints, we can also include a host firewall to it so that the system works securely. Then the data inspected. Firewalls inspect network traffic, identifying and blocking the malicious traffic before it enters the protecting network or endpoint. So it inspects the data before anything enters into your system or the network, and antivirus solutions scan the file on a particular endpoint for signs of malicious content or signature matches. So these are the differences. However, firewall can prevent the following security threats. So remote login by unauthorized users such as the hacker. Firewall can easily prevent this thing. Then the backdoors, which are programs that establish features that allow for hidden access to the system. Then the denial of services, where a network is inundated and with the generated network traffic and causing computer on the network to slow down or crash, or ultimately you are not having access to your network. Network spread viruses and worms, which are small programs that can spread over the network to other unprotected computers. So, still, there are some security threats that cannot be managed by or prevented by the firewalls, and it includes the viruses, the worms, Trojan horses from emails and the downloaded files, and the spams and spywares. For these components or the security threats, we need to have antiviruses installed that will protect or help to protect the file systems against the unwanted programs, and a firewall helps to keep attackers or external threats from getting access to your system in the first place. Other threats travel from computer to computer with the knowledge of the user, without the knowledge of the user. So we can say that both of these terms are really important factor of our network security, network infrastructure security. So whenever these two are working with us, we can say that we can secure our network. Then we need to investigate the use of surveillance and monitoring system to protect the network environment. Network security monitoring is an automated process that monitors network devices and traffic for security vulnerabilities, threats, and suspicious activities. Organizations can use it to detect and respond to cybersecurity breaches quickly. So, whenever we are talking about the monitoring systems, these are basically used to monitor the traffic and all the devices that are working in our network, and we can see the vulnerabilities, the threats, and the suspicious activities that could be working in our networks. Organizations can use it to detect and respond to the cybersecurity breaches quickly so that they can have a strong security of their network. Network monitoring, what it really does, it actually collects and reports on a variety of data from a computer network, including the routers, switches, firewalls, load balancers, and even endpoints like the servers and workstation. So whenever it will collect and report on all these components, the collected data is filtered and analyzed to identify a variety of network problems. So whenever we will do the evaluation of all these components, we can say that we can identify a variety of network problems that would be disturbing the security of our system. So this was all about the uh, surveillance and monitoring systems that can be used to protect our network security. So in this way, we can secure or protect our network from the malicious acts, and our today's objective was to understand the network security considerations and all the other components like the firewall and the antiviruses, and also the monitoring softwares and its role in the network security.
Got it, ma'am.
Okay, so
Yes.
do you have any questions regarding the topic or any other point from the hello?
No, ma'am. This slide was very clear to me.
Okay, so would you like to answer one of the questions?
The second, what do you know about the firewalls?
Yes, please let
Uh,
me know.
Firewalls are basically it's an application, but it can be an application on a hardware based or could be just an application And there are types of firewalls. We have like parameter firewalls or hardware firewalls for the networks to secure our network and its infrastructure. However, we can have host-based firewalls as well, which we can run onto host machines to further add a layer of security for the users and the network, which can both protect the network itself from any malicious or any kind of attacks from the user machine. May it be unintended or intended attacks, and also it can help the user machine or avoid the kind of processes which can make system slow, just like a ping of death or anything. So on the other hand, we have network firewalls, which it protects the network from the perspective of our LAN network or DMZ or data center networks.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we can use them for not only securing our network, but also to make the availability of the business, for example, to avoid, let's say, the denial of service attack or distributed denial of service attack, and also unauthorized access to our network or our resources.
Okay, so I have a question from for you. We are talking about the firewalls and the antiviruses, and definitely you will be having the idea about the hackers and all the stuff that they do. Let's suppose if someone or like if someone stole or hacked the uh, like any kind of social media account of some other person. So what are the security measures that could save that account?
First of all, for this one, I would say the users need to understand, the power of social networking websites and social networking applications. They are very useful, and we can connect to the multiple people and we can also connect with our relatives and family. But however, on the other hand, not all people are having the good intentions. There are hackers, there are exploiters. So they
Definitely.
might make a phishing websites or URLs which might look like a original website or the application. And people, without having much information about how this works, they can share their personal data or that data which is vulnerable for their profiles or personal lives. So to avoid it, they need to understand how like how things work, how they can secure themselves by, for example, having complex passwords, not using clear text passwords, and if they are making passwords, they don't use like normal life vocabulary or the words, and
These
also
measures are just for like before your account is hacked up. Some people have worked really hard on their accounts and they have a very large audience, and ultimately we see that their accounts are hacked and they are not having access to their account, and ultimately it is deleted, or maybe some other person are using, but you are not having access to their account. So I'm
yes.
asking actually for that, is there any way to like to rescue the account, or no, there is nothing that can work
uh,
in there?
yes, ma'am. I got your point. In that case, what the person needs to do is, if his account is already hacked, then he should try to contact all the contacts of the profile, whoever were added into their profile, by using a right medium, maybe by phone call or WhatsApp or any other medium which is like trustable medium, and let them inform them publicly if they can, or in person one to one, that my account has been hacked. So try not to communicate with it, and also to he should contact with the admins, or the owners of that application, that my account has been hacked, and this was my ID, and these are like, they need to stop the access for them. And I would say, in that case, if previously there was no multi-factor authentications then it should be also taken into consideration that next time they should not only use the complex passwords, but also the multi-factor authentication like SMS for dual password, or face detection, or the fingerprint access as a multi-factor authentication to their accounts. But since
Yes.
it's ready, in that case the person should publicly inform. It's a responsibility of that person, because the exploiter might impersonate this person as a genuine person and try to exploit other people by asking for funds or asking for any other information. So, which might lead to more, damage to the profile, or damage to the financially. I mean, stop.
Okay.
No, don't touch it.
Okay. Thank you for your suggestions. Okay, this is all for today. So you can work on your assignment activity, and you can ask in if there is any question from your side, and try to complete your activities as soon as possible, because we need to work on it with like a distinction grade, inshallah.
Inshallah. Yes. I will, as per your instructions, I will work on the slide one, and add more details to it.
Okay, I'll see you in your next class. Till then, take care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz, ma'am. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.